Fellow Ghanaians, good morning. So last night I was in a conversation with a friend of mine about what we all want to do for our country, but also what we want to see with our country. There was a time when patriotism meant something in this country, when the words Ghana, my motherland, evoked genuine pride, when national service was a badge of honor, not just some bureaucratic inconvenience, when the flag of this country stitched on our bag or our shirt, not just as a symbol, but of belonging. Not an irony. Today, however, many, loving this country feels like foolishness. We've managed, through corruption, hypocrisy, and the decay of leadership, to make devotion to Ghana seem like some naive idea, some romantic idea only dreamers can cling to. You see it in the eyes of the young. They finish university bright-eyed, and the first thing they do is to log on to migration websites. Sometimes they just want a way out, if it is true schooling. Their WhatsApp statuses say it all. The goal is now to leave. For many, the only loyalty they can afford is to survive. Ask a random young person about their future, and you'll hear, I just want to leave this country. That is not apathy, fellow Ghanaians. That is despair, the kind that festers when you give your best to a system that doesn't care whether you live or you die. When competence counts for less than connections, when those who rise to power treat the national treasury like some family property. So how did we get here, fellow Ghanaians? How did we reach the point where patriotism, the love of one's country, has become a synonym for stupidity? It just didn't happen overnight. It happened because leadership failed. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. Those we have entrusted with power, regardless of party, have proven that public service is no longer about sacrifice, but about access, not about reform, but reward. Politics has only become a ladder of self-enrichment, not a platform of nation building. Today, corruption is so normalized, it barely shocks anyone anymore. It's become a national culture, not an aberration. Inflated contracts, procurement rackets, ghost names on the payroll, public projects that have been abandoned halfway all across the country. All of us have a story to tell. And then you raise your voice against it, and then you get told, listen, this is Ghana. We've numbed ourselves into fatalism. Every day we see officials, public officials, living lavishly on stolen funds, mansions, luxury cars, foreign education for their kids, while the roads that lead to our hospitals, the hospitals themselves, remain death traps, and schools still have no desks. Then these same leaders, then when they get the opportunity to mount the stage and preach something, they preach patriotism to young people. And they ask you and I to love our country, to love Ghana, to believe in Ghana. But they just do not believe in that. What exactly are they asking us to love? The broken promises, the injustice, the greed? The real death of patriotism didn't start when young people began leaving. It started when those who stayed stopped believing. When they realized that this hard work that they have continued to do in this country does not pay, that merit no longer means anything, that if you don't know someone in power, you are invisible. When citizens began to understand that the fastest way to wealth is proximity to political office, not innovation, not ideas, not integrity, that was the beginning of the end, fellow Ghanaians. And now the rot is contagious. We lament the corruption of the old guard, but then look closely at the new crop of aspirants, the new young guys who want to lead. Their supposed next generation of leaders. And what do you see? You don't see transformation. You don't see reform. You just listen to their turn to come and also chop. You listen to them speak, and it's all about connections, positions. Who is backing who? Not policy, not vision, not sacrifice. The disease has mutated into the bloodstream of the young people now. We now live in a country where young people are not dreaming of building. They are scheming of escaping or replacing. That is a tragedy. That is the fire of patriotism that should have burned in their hearts, that has been doused by the cold rain of corruption and betrayal. And when they finally find a way out to say Canada, the UK, the US, Germany, we cannot call them unpatriotic. We cannot say that they've abandoned this country. It is this country, this Ghana, that abandoned them. We failed to give them a system, that rewards honesty and punishes theft. We failed to build an economy that values skill and talent over loyalty to party colors. We failed to make this country a home to people who want to stay and not just flee. Every generation before us had a national dream. Nkrumah's was independence and industrialization. The Achampon era, for those of you who lived through it, was promising self-reliance. Rawlins's years, for all their faults, spoke of accountability and discipline. So what is our generation's dream now? It is just to live, to survive, to get rich. That is all. The moral compass is spinning aimlessly because we've allowed greed to become the national ideology. The saddest part of all of this is that we have normalized mediocrity, leadership failure, no longer outrageous. They amuse us. Scandals trend for 2 days. They are gone. The Attorney General's report reveals theft of millions. What do? We shrug. Public officials accused of corruption are rewarded with new appointments. Even religion, once a moral sanctuary, now mirrors the corruption of this state. Pastors bless corrupt politicians on live TV. The moral collapse is now national, no more sectoral. But fellow Ghanaians, we cannot give in to this cynicism, and that cannot be our destiny. Love of country must not die because our leaders failed us. The cure to bad leadership is not apathy, it is collective awakening. Patriotism is not blind loyalty to some corrupt power. It is fierce devotion to justice, to fairness and accountability. We must redefine patriotism, not as allegiance to flag-waving politicians, but as a commitment to truth, to excellence and integrity. Loving this country does not mean defending rot. It means demanding better, loudly and relentlessly. It means refusing to cheat just because everyone else does. It means holding those in power accountable even when they are your own people. Patriotism is not silence in the face of corruption. It's rebellion against it. We must make it cool again to love this country, not through slogans or parades, but through systems that works. When schools have books and teachers are paid on time, where young people see their talent and their effort actually counting, when justice is blind and power is accountable, then the patriotism will again resurrect itself naturally. To those of you who lead us now, those in power today and those waiting in line, you must understand this. Your conduct is a national curriculum. Young people are learning from what you do, not just from what you say. When they see you amass unexplained wealth, they take notes. When they see you lie to win elections, they learn deceit. When you shield your corrupt allies, they learn that crime pays. The moral collapse of a generation is a direct consequence of the example set by those who govern it. So yes, patriotism is dying, but it's not dead yet. There are still young men and women doing honest work, teaching in deprived villages, nursing the sick in under-resourced hospitals, designing software in co-working spaces, building startups from scratch. They love this country, but they are tired of carrying the load of a corrupt state. They too, like you and I, deserve better. If the leaders of this country still have an ounce of conscience left, they will understand that a national renewal begins with moral renewal, not slogans. No more task forces, but honesty and accountability, and then competence. Only then will patriotism cease to feel like a foolish investment of faith. Until then, the brightest of our youth will continue to live. The dreamers will continue to despair, and the love of country will continue to bleed to death in the gutters of corruption. And so that is why yesterday I was excited about the new UP. And we hope that Alan Martin and his team have something, a new awakening for our Ghanaian political system. Not the same, old same. Good morning, fellow Ghanaians.